This is TOEFL IBT speaking test, and this test evaluates your ability to communicate in English in an academic setting. It consists of 4 tasks. Task 1, express an opinion on a familiar topic. Listening, campus conversation. Student A, have you heard about the university's new job program? It sounds really useful. They're offering more on-campus jobs, plus internships with local companies. Student B, yeah, I saw the announcement, but I'm not sure if it'll be as beneficial as they say. I mean, a lot of on-campus jobs don't really provide much practical experience. If it's just answering phones or filing papers, I don't think it will help students prepare for real careers. Student A, I see your point, but the university is also adding internships. Imagine if you're a marketing student and get a part-time job at a local business doing advertising. Wouldn't that be valuable experience? Student B, that's true, but I'm also worried about students becoming overwhelmed. I know a few people who work part-time already, and they struggle to keep up with their coursework. Even if the university says jobs will have flexible hours, that doesn't guarantee students won't feel pressured to take on more than they can handle. Student A, that's fair, but I think it's all about time management. If students plan their schedules well, they could balance work and studies. Plus, the extra income will definitely help cover tuition and living expenses. Student B, yeah, I guess it depends on the student. If they can handle the workload, it could be a good opportunity. Listening, Professor's Lecture. In today's lecture, let's take a closer look at the paradox of choice and why having too many options can actually be a disadvantage. A well-known experiment studied shoppers choosing between different flavors of jam at a grocery store. When customers were presented with only 6 flavors, they were more likely to buy a jar and reported higher satisfaction with their purchase. But when they were shown 24 flavors, they struggled to choose and often left without buying anything. This shows that when choices become overwhelming, people tend to avoid making a decision at all. This also applies to college students picking a major. Imagine a student trying to decide between dozens of potential fields of study. They might spend months Task 4, Integrated Speaking Task, Academic Lecture, Listening, Professor's Lecture. Today, we'll be discussing functional fixedness, a cognitive bias that limits our ability to see alternative uses for an object beyond its traditional function. This mental rigidity can prevent people from solving problems creatively because they become stuck thinking about how an object is typically used. Let's consider an experiment to illustrate this. Participants were given a box of tacks, a candle, and a bulletin board, and were asked to attach the candle to the board so it wouldn't drip wax onto the table. Most people struggled because they only saw the box as a container for the tacks. However, a few participants realized they could empty the box, tack it to the board, and use it as a platform for the candle. This solution required breaking free from functional fixedness, seeing the box as a separate tool rather than just packaging. This concept appears in everyday life as well. Suppose someone needs a paperweight but doesn't have one. If they only think of using an actual paperweight, they're stuck. But if they overcome functional fixedness, they might use a book or a rock instead. Another example comes from engineering and design. When the first touchscreen phones were invented, people initially resisted because they were used to keyboards. They couldn't imagine a phone which is a type of functional fixedness. But over time, as people became more open-minded, touchscreen phones became the standard. Understanding functional fixedness helps in problem-solving and innovation. The more flexible we are in seeing alternative uses for objects, the more creative and effective our solutions will be.
I prefer to plan every detail of my trips in advance because it ensures a smooth, stress-free, and efficient travel experience. First, planning maximizes my time by allowing me to create a well-structured itinerary. This way, I don't waste valuable hours deciding what to do on the spot. For example, When I traveled to a new city last year, I booked my accommodations, transportation, and activities in advance, which helped me make the most of my trip without worrying about availability or long waiting times. Second, it helps me stay within my budget. Planning ahead allows me to compare prices and find the best deals on flights, hotels, and even local attractions. This prevents me from overspending on expensive last-minute bookings. Additionally, I can allocate my budget wisely, ensuring that I don't run out of money halfway through my trip. Third, it reduces uncertainty and stress, making me feel more comfortable and secure in unfamiliar places. I know exactly where I'll be staying, how I'll get around, and what I'll be doing each day, which gives me peace of mind. While spontaneity can be exciting, I believe that a well-planned trip leads to a more enjoyable and hassle-free experience, allowing me to focus on making great memories instead of dealing with unexpected issues. The conversation revolves around the university's new on-campus job initiative, which aims to provide students with more work opportunities. The first student supports the initiative, stating that it allows students to earn money conveniently without spending time commuting. They also believe that on-campus jobs are beneficial because they offer valuable work experience in a flexible environment where employers understand academic demands. Additionally, they mention that working on campus helps students build connections with professors and staff, which could lead to future career opportunities. The second student, however, disagrees, arguing that on-campus jobs typically pay less than off-campus positions, making it harder for students to support themselves financially. They also feel that the jobs available on campus might not align with students' career goals, limiting opportunities for relevant work experience. Furthermore, they express concerns that too many students will apply, making it difficult to actually secure a job. I agree with the first student because on-campus jobs provide a good balance between work and academics. They are designed for students, ensuring flexible schedules that accommodate coursework. Additionally, they offer a supportive environment where students can gain experience while remaining close to their academic resources. Although the pay might be lower, the convenience and skill-building opportunities make them a worthwhile option for many students. The professor explains the paradox of choice, which is the idea that while having options is generally beneficial, having too many choices can lead to stress, indecision, and dissatisfaction. He provides two key examples to illustrate this phenomenon. First, he describes a study conducted at a grocery store where customers were presented with different numbers of jam flavors. When there were only 6 options, more people made a purchase and felt satisfied with their choice. However, when the selection increased to 24 options, customers felt overwhelmed and were less likely to buy anything. This demonstrates that an excessive number of choices can make decision-making more difficult and discouraging. Second, the professor gives an example of a student selecting elective courses for the semester. When given just a few options, the student quickly chooses a course and feels confident about their decision. However, when presented with dozens of courses, the student struggles to decide, fearing they might miss out on a better option. Even after making a selection, they experience regret and anxiety, constantly wondering if they should have chosen differently. These examples illustrate that while having choices is important, an overabundance of options can lead to decision paralysis, increased stress, and lower overall satisfaction. When people are faced with too many possibilities, they tend to overanalyze, second-guess their decisions, and feel less content with their final choice, even if it was a good one. The professor explains functional fixedness, a cognitive bias that limits a person's ability to use objects in new or unconventional ways. This mental rigidity makes problem-solving more difficult because people tend to see objects only for their intended purpose, rather than thinking creatively. To illustrate this concept, the professor provides 2 key examples. First, he describes a classic candle experiment where participants are given a candle, thumbtacks, and a box of matches. Most people struggle to realize that the box itself can be used as a platform to hold the candle by tacking it to the wall. Instead, they see the box only as a container for the matches, demonstrating functional fixedness. The second example involves a mechanic who needs to tighten a bolt but doesn't have a wrench. Instead of using a similar shaped tool, such as pliers, the mechanic struggles because he only associates a wrench with that specific task. This shows how functional fixedness can hinder problem-solving in everyday situations. These examples illustrate how people often overlook alternative uses for familiar objects, which can limit their ability to find creative solutions. Overcoming functional fixedness requires thinking outside the box and approaching problems with flexibility.